My name is Emily. One night during dinner in a house I paid for, my own father called me a worthless burden and told everyone I contributed nothing. What happened after that changed my family permanently. If something like this has ever happened to you, share your experience in the comments. Dinner moved the way it usually did. Plates passed, someone asked about work, a fork scraped against porcelain. The table held 4 people, all seated as if nothing was about to shift. Robert cleared his throat and didn't lower his voice. "You know what the problem is?" he said, looking straight at me. "You're a worthless burden." The word burden landed without warning. No build-up, no pause to soften it. He kept going. "You don't contribute anything to this family," he added. "All you do is take up space." No one interrupted him. No one laughed it off. The sentence stayed where he put it. A chair moved back. Mine. Standing didn't come with an announcement. The room didn't stop moving either. Someone reached for a glass. Someone else kept chewing. A work bag rested against the wall. The zipper slid open. Papers came out in a stack that had been folded too many times to look neat. The first page was the purchase agreement. My name appeared at the top. The address followed. The date sat where dates usually do. Next came the mortgage statements. Monthly, consistent. 2 years of payments lined up in columns. The stack ended with bank records. Every transfer matched the amount due. No gaps. The papers went down on the table, right in front of Robert. They didn't fan out dramatically. They landed flat. He glanced at them once, then again. "This house," I said, keeping my voice level, "is in my name." A finger tapped the top page, not hard enough to make a sound. "I pay for it." Robert leaned back slightly, as if the distance might help. "That doesn't mean," he started. "It does," came back. "It means exactly that." Someone shifted in their seat. A glass scraped against the table. No one spoke. Robert shook his head once, slow and dismissive. "You think paperwork makes you important," he said. "You wouldn't have anything without this family." The response didn't arrive right away. Another breath. Another look at the documents, not for reassurance, just to make sure they were where they needed to be. "If I'm a burden," I said, "you can leave tonight." The sentence stayed short. No emphasis added. No edge raised. Robert's mouth opened. Nothing followed. A pause stretched across the table. Someone reached for their napkin and stopped halfway. Someone else looked down at their plate. He stared at the papers again, then back up at me. The words didn't come back this time. No one stepped in. No one defended him. No one defended me either. A phone buzzed somewhere nearby. A notification, probably unrelated. Life didn't wait. The chair scraped as I pushed it back under the table. The bag closed. The papers went back where they came from. Dinner hadn't officially ended, but no one picked up a fork. The morning didn't wait for permission. Traffic moved. A calendar reminder went off. Coffee cooled in the cup holder as the car rolled toward work. The phone lit up before the first stoplight. "Your father is devastated," my aunt said. "You embarrassed him." The call ended before a response formed. Another number followed right after. "You didn't have to talk to him like that," a cousin said. "He's old. He didn't mean it." A third call came through while the parking gate lifted. "This is being blown out of proportion," an uncle added. "You should clear it up." Clear it up meant something specific. Say sorry. Say it was a misunderstanding. Say it didn't mean what it sounded like. At the desk, emails stacked the way they always did. Work didn't pause. A meeting invite slid onto the screen, followed by a task update and a deadline that hadn't moved. The phone buzzed again. "I never thought you'd treat your own father this way," Robert said in a voicemail. "My own daughter." No apology came with it. No acknowledgement of what had been said the night before. Just a statement of injury. Another message followed 10 minutes later. "I put my whole life into you," he added, "and this is how you repay me." At lunch, the break room conversation stayed on safe topics until someone leaned closer. "Your dad's telling people you kicked him out," a coworker said, careful with the words. He sounded upset. He wasn't kicked out, came back. He was told he could leave. The distinction didn't travel well. Messages kept arriving through the afternoon. Different voices, same request. You should apologize. Just smooth it over. Families fight. It doesn't have to turn into this. No one asked what had been said to start it. Marcus Reed leaned against the counter near the copy machine, watching a printer jam itself again. "Looks like your phone's been busy," he said. "News spreads fast," I replied. "Paperwork spreads faster," he said, "especially when it's real." He didn't ask for details, didn't offer advice. The copier beeped and started working again. Back at the desk, an automated email slid into the inbox. "Your mortgage payment has been scheduled." No mention of family dinners, no footnote for emotional distress, just confirmation and a date. The timing felt deliberate, even though it wasn't. The drive home brought more calls. A neighbor, a family friend, someone who hadn't spoken in years. "Your father's hurt," one of them said. "He feels pushed out." "By what?" I asked. "By how you spoke," they answered. "By making it legal." The house stood where it always had. The car parked, the door opened. Robert's shoes sat by the entryway. A voice came from the living room. "We need to talk." The sentence sounded practiced. "I've been humiliated," he continued. "People are asking questions." "About what?" I asked. "About why my own daughter would do that to me." No reference to the word burden. No mention of the accusation. Just the reaction. A phone vibrated on the counter, another automated message. "Your account settings have been updated." The bank didn't ask for consent. It simply recorded changes as they happened. "I raised you better than this," Robert said. "You could have handled it privately." "It happened privately," I said, "at the table." "That was different," he replied. "That was family." "Then it shouldn't have been said." He shook his head as if the point missed him by inches. "You're overreacting," he said. "You always do." Dinner stayed untouched. The fridge hummed. A notification chimed somewhere else in the house. "I'm not leaving," Robert added, folding his arms. "This is my home, too." "It isn't," I said. The words didn't escalate. They landed. "You don't get to decide that," he shot back. "The paperwork does." He laughed once, short and sharp. "You think a piece of paper matters more than blood?" The phone buzzed again. Another relative. "I heard you're being difficult," the message read. "You should think about what this is doing to the family." A reply didn't go out. Marcus texted a single line later that evening. "Anything not in writing gets messy." The next morning brought more of the same. Calls, messages, advice wrapped as concern. At work, a supervisor asked if everything was okay. "Busy," I said. That answer worked. Midday, another automated email arrived. "Thank you for maintaining your payment history." The system stayed polite. By the time the sun dropped, the pattern was clear. The story had settled into a version that didn't include what started it. One last message came through before the phone went silent. "He's still there," a cousin wrote. "He says he's not going anywhere." The receptionist slid a clipboard across the desk and pointed to a line without looking up. "Sign here." The pen felt lighter than expected. The name went down once, clean. A chair scraped back and a door opened to the right. The attorney didn't waste time. "You're the sole owner," she said, flipping through a file. "No co-owners, no additions, no amendments." Pages turned. A finger paused on a section, then moved on. "There's no long-term residency agreement," she continued. "No lease, no tenancy rights." The sentence ended there. No explanation followed. "So he doesn't," I started. "He doesn't have legal standing to stay," she said. "Not without your consent." A phone vibrated on the table. Robert's name lit the screen and disappeared when it wasn't answered. Another call followed right after. Then a message. "You're really going to do this," he wrote, "after everything I've done for you?" The attorney kept talking. "This is straightforward," she said. "If you want him to leave, you issue a formal notice." A folder slid across the table. The cover read, "Notice to vacate." No mention of parents, no space for explanations, just names, dates, and address. A text buzzed in before the folder was opened. "You're making this worse," an aunt wrote. "People are talking." Another message followed. "This could affect how everyone sees you," someone else warned. "You don't want that reputation." The attorney waited without reacting. "He's been using the house address for mail," she added. "Nothing binding, but it matters." Another call came through, this time with a voicemail attached. "You think you're better than us now," Robert said. "You wouldn't even exist without me." The words stacked without punctuation. "Everything I sacrificed, all those years, and this is what I get?" The attorney closed the file. "Do you want to proceed?" she asked. The question didn't include advice. It didn't offer comfort. "Yes," I said. A form came out next. The title sat at the top in bold, neutral font. Formal demand for possession. No reference to family dinners, no space for emotional context. The printer whirred, paper slid into the tray. A date stamped itself into place. The phone buzzed again. "Just apologize," a cousin texted. "This doesn't have to be a thing." A reply didn't go out. The attorney pointed to the signature line. "This gives him notice," she said. "It also protects you." Another vibration cut through. "If you do this," Robert wrote, "don't expect forgiveness." The pen moved, ink dried. A copy went into a manila envelope. Another stayed in the file. "Delivery can be handled a few ways," the attorney said. "Certified mail is standard." "That works," I said. Outside, the afternoon kept moving. Cars passed. A calendar alert chimed about a meeting that had already been rescheduled. The phone rang as soon as the engine turned over. "You went to a lawyer?" Robert demanded. "Yes." "Well, that's low," he said. "Real low. It's necessary." "You're trying to scare me," he snapped. "It won't work." "I'm not trying anything," I said. "I'm notifying you." Silence stretched long enough to notice traffic slowing. "You don't get to do this," he finally said. "This house is mine as much as yours." "It isn't," I replied. He laughed, sharp and short. "You think papers make you powerful? They make things clear." Another call cut in, this time from an unknown number. "I'm just saying," a family friend said. "You should think about how this looks." "How does it look?" I asked. "Cold," they answered. The line went dead. At home, the envelope sat on the counter. The address faced up. The return label listed a law office, not a name. A notification popped up on the phone. "Your document has been mailed." No drama, no warning, just confirmation. Robert's voice carried from the other room. "You really sent it?" he said. "You actually did it." "Yes." "You're choosing paper over people." "I'm choosing ownership." He scoffed. "You'll regret this." The comment didn't come with a threat. It sounded rehearsed. Another buzz followed, an automated message this time. "Thank you for using certified delivery." The timing felt precise. Dinner stayed untouched again. A plate sat where it had been left. A glass went unrefilled. Robert stood by the counter, arms crossed. "You think this ends here?" he asked. "I think it starts," I said. A phone chimed somewhere else in the house. Another message arrived from the bank. "Your account activity has been recorded." The notice didn't change anything overnight. Shoes still sat by the door. His jacket stayed on the back of the chair. The house continued operating as if paperwork had no authority here. Robert waited until morning to react. "You really think a letter changes anything?" he said from the hallway. "I'm not going anywhere." Breakfast moved on without him. A mug got rinsed. A cabinet closed. "That notice gives you time," I said. "It doesn't ask for agreement." He scoffed. "You're throwing me out," he replied. "That's what people will hear." By noon, they were already hearing it. A call came from my aunt. "Your father says you're putting him on the street," she said. "He's beside himself." Another number followed. "This is cruel," a cousin added. "You know how this looks." The word looks came up again and again. No one mentioned what had been said at the table. No one asked for documents. Robert leaned into it. He called relatives from the living room, voice raised just enough. "She's making me homeless," he said. "Over nothing." A neighbor knocked later that afternoon. "Everything okay?" she asked, eyes flicking past me. "Your dad seemed upset." "He's been notified," I said. "That's all." She nodded slowly, not convinced. Robert paced when the door closed. "You're enjoying this," he said, watching everyone turn on me. "No one turned," I replied. "They're responding." Another phone buzzed. "Why are you being so cold?" a family friend asked. "He's your father." "He's an adult," I said. Silence followed on that line. By the second day, the story had settled. The version circulating didn't include paperwork or dates. It focused on age, sacrifice, and shock. Robert refused to accept the envelope when it arrived. "Not signing anything," he told the postal carrier. "You can take it back." The carrier scanned something and left it on the counter anyway. "Delivery attempted," the receipt read later. "Recipient notified." The system didn't argue. A group text lit up before dinner. "This has gone too far. You should think about reconciliation. Families don't do this to each other." No reply went out. Robert took to sitting near the window during the day, phone pressed to his ear. "She won't listen," he said to someone. "I gave her everything." When confronted, he shrugged, just telling the truth. At work, people kept conversations brief. A coworker asked if everything was settled yet. "Working on it," I said. That answer held. Another automated email arrived in the afternoon. "Your case timeline remains on schedule. No sender name, no concern." Back home, Robert blocked the hallway with his stance. "You think you've won?" he said. "I can stay as long as I want." "You can't," I replied. "Watch me." The doorbell rang before anything else could follow. A neighbor, then another. Word traveled faster than facts. "He's under a lot of stress," someone said softly. "You could ease up." "I'm following process," I answered. That phrase didn't comfort anyone. A message came from Marcus that evening. "Paper doesn't get tired," he wrote. Robert tried a different approach the next morning. "You owe me," he said. "All those years." "I didn't borrow the house," I replied. He laughed, bitter this time. "You learned to talk like this somewhere." Another call came through from the attorney. "We need to discuss next steps," she said. "He's refusing to comply." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means voluntary notice may not be enough," she answered. "We'll need to escalate." The words sat there without decoration. Robert overheard part of it. "You calling the cops now?" he said. "You really want that?" "I want resolution. You want control." The distinction didn't matter anymore. By the end of the week, support had dried up. Messages stopped arriving. Invitations didn't come. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was pointed. A final email arrived that afternoon. "Failure to vacate may result in further action." No exclamation marks, no judgment. Robert read it over my shoulder. "You'd really do this?" he said. "Yes." He shook his head. "You're heartless." The phone buzzed again, right on cue. "Your file has been updated." Dinner stayed simple. One plate went untouched. Later that night, the attorney's number came up again. "We should move forward," she said. "This requires a firmer step." "What kind?" I asked. "Formal enforcement." Paper covered the table at the law office, folders stacked without labels that mattered to anyone but the system. The attorney spoke without leaning in. "If this continues," she said, tapping a page, "you're looking at delays, contested filings, and a longer timeline." Another page slid forward. "Family pressure doesn't stop a process," she added, "but it does stretch it." A phone vibrated, face down, left there. "There's also reputational noise," she continued. "It doesn't change outcomes, it does change days." "What's the worst case?" I asked. She didn't dramatize it. "More time," she said. "More cost, more calls, less cooperation." Silence followed. Not for reflection, for facts to settle. A message popped up anyway. A group thread. Names that hadn't reached out directly now shared a summary. "Meeting happened," the text read. "Decision made." No invitation, no agenda, no dissent. Another message came in from Robert. "I never thought you'd do this," he wrote. To me. No reference to what he'd said first, no acknowledgement of the notice. The attorney closed the folder. "You're not wrong," she said, "but you are at a point where choices narrow." Outside, the day kept its schedule. Traffic moved. A delivery truck blocked a lane and didn't apologize. At home, Robert waited near the counter. "So," he said, "you had people decide without me?" "They decided without me," I replied. He scoffed. "Figures," he said. "You've always needed backup." The line wasn't new. It didn't require an answer. A call came in from my aunt. Speaker stayed off. "We talked," she said. "Everyone agrees this went too far." "Agrees how?" I asked. "That you should stop," she replied. "That you should fix it." "Fix what?" "The situation," she said. "With your father." Robert watched from the doorway, listening. "He's devastated," she continued. "He didn't raise you for this." The call ended without a goodbye. Robert stepped closer. "You hear that?" he said. "They know you're wrong." "They decided," I said, "without facts." "Facts don't matter," he replied. "People do." The doorbell rang. A neighbor stood there with a practiced expression. "Just checking in," she said. "He's been having a rough time." "He's been notified," I answered. She nodded, unsatisfied, and left. Robert leaned against the counter. "I didn't think you'd turn into this," he said. "Cold, legal." "I didn't think I'd need to," I replied. He laughed once, thin. "You think this ends well for you?" A notification chimed. The timing didn't ask permission. "Your mortgage payment is scheduled." No greeting, no sympathy, just confirmation. Robert glanced at the phone. "Always paying," he said, "never feeling." The sentence didn't land as intended. A text followed from a cousin. "You should apologize," it read. "Just say you went too far." No reply went out. Dinner happened without coordination. 1 plate, 2 chairs used. A third remained empty by choice. Robert broke the silence. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said. "I just didn't expect this." "For what?" I asked. "For you to act like I don't matter. I'm acting like the house does." He shook his head. "You've made it impossible." "For who?" "For me," he said. "For everyone." A voicemail arrived while dishes were set aside. "This is tearing the family apart," an uncle said. "You should be the bigger person." The message ended without instruction. Later, another call came through. The attorney again. "We need to talk about enforcement," she said. "The current approach isn't working." "What does that look like?" I asked. "It looks firmer," she replied, "and less personal." Robert overheard. "So now you escalate," he said, "just to prove a point." "To finish a process," I answered. He stared at the floor, then back up. "I never thought you'd choose this," he said, "over me." The room didn't argue back. A new email arrived while he waited. "Your file remains active. No timeline, no reassurance." The family thread lit up once more. "We're concerned," someone wrote. "This doesn't reflect well." Another message followed. "You can still undo it." Undo what? The question stayed unasked. Robert moved toward the hallway. "I won't forget this," he said, "even if everyone else does." "I'm not asking you to," I replied. He stopped, turned once more. "I raised you," he said, "and I paid for the house." The words didn't fight. They sat there. The night moved on. A light switched off. A door closed somewhere down the hall. Another notification chimed, steady as a metronome. "Your account has been updated." No resolution came with it. No direction either. The attorney didn't start with questions. A folder opened, thicker than before, and slid across the table. "We found something," she said. Pages shifted, not hurried, not dramatic. "Your address appears on several documents," she continued. "Small accounts, utility-related, short-term financing." A pause followed, long enough for the words to settle. He used the house address, she added, signed as a resident. The phone buzzed, ignored. None of it is catastrophic by itself, she said, but it changes exposure. Another page came forward. Notices were mailed here, she said. Late fees, warnings, nothing you were told about. So he's been, I started, using your property as leverage, she said, without disclosure. The phrase landed clean. A call cut through from an unknown number. It went unanswered. Another followed. This matters, the attorney continued. If those accounts escalate, responsibility could slide toward you. How? I asked. By association, she said. The system doesn't read family context. It reads addresses. Another document appeared. The header stood out. Resident Liability Notice. No room for qualifiers, no space for explanation. Notice how it's worded, she said. No mention of relationship, no carve-outs. A dry chuckle slipped out before it could be stopped. So, father isn't an option, I said. She nodded once. It never is. The phone buzzed again. This time, a voicemail arrived seconds later. You're digging for dirt now, Robert said? Trying to make me look bad? The attorney closed the folder. This isn't about looking bad, she said. This is about risk. Another call came in from the bank. Just confirming receipt of documentation, the voice said. Your file has been flagged for review. Flagged how? I asked. As potentially responsible, they replied, pending clarification. The call ended politely. That's what I meant, the attorney said. The longer he stays, the more overlap forms. Outside, traffic kept time. A horn sounded and faded. So what happens next? I asked. She didn't soften it. We escalate, she said. Formal enforcement. A new packet landed on the table, thicker, heavier. This initiates removal through official channels, she said. Not personal delivery, not conversation. The title sat at the top. Unlawful Occupancy Proceeding. No emotion attached. The phone lit up again, a text from my aunt. He's telling people you're trying to ruin him, it read. You should stop before this gets worse. Another message followed. This could follow you, someone else warned. People remember things like this. The pen waited. What if I don't? I asked. Then you accept shared liability, she replied, and whatever comes with it. A voicemail came through while the form stayed unsigned. You think the law cares about what you feel, Robert said. I raised you. That should count. And the attorney didn't react. This protects you, she said again. It also ends the ambiguity. The pen moved. The signature went down. Ink dried. Copies were made. One stayed. One went out. Certified. Recorded. Logged. On the drive home, another call came in. You filed something, Robert said without greeting. I got a notice. It came from the system, I said. You went behind my back. I followed procedure. That's worse, he snapped. That means you meant it. A pause stretched across the line. They're treating me like a criminal, he said. They're treating you like an occupant. That's not what I am. That's what the notice says. He exhaled hard. You always hide behind paperwork, he said. Never face things. I'm facing it now. The call ended without ceremony. At home, the mailbox held more envelopes than usual, none addressed to me. A notification chimed. Delivery confirmed. Another followed seconds later. Case status updated. Dinner stayed simple. No shared table, no conversation. Robert stayed in his room. The door closed but not locked. A message came in from Marcus. Once systems notice overlap, they don't forget, he wrote. Another email arrived from the attorney before midnight. The notice was served, she wrote. Next steps pending response. No timeline, no comfort. A final voicemail arrived near the end of the night. This is dangerous, Robert said. You don't know what you've started. The phone stayed where it was. A banking alert popped up moments later. Unusual activity review completed. Boxes appeared before words did. Not many, just enough to mark an ending. Tape peeled, then tore. Drawers opened and stayed that way. Communication shifted to emails and forms, names, dates, case numbers. Every exchange landed in writing. Calls stopped being returned because there were none to take. At the county office, a clerk slid a document across the counter. "Please confirm," she said. A checkbox waited. Another line followed for a signature. "What happens next?" I asked. "Timeline continues," she replied. "Notification goes out, compliance window starts." No opinion came with it. The stamp hit the page once. Back home, Robert sat at the table, phone face down. A printed notice lay between us. "They gave me a date," he said. "Yes." "So that's it?" "That's the schedule." He stared at the paper as if it might change. "This is humiliating," he said. "People will know." "They already do," I replied. He pushed the chair back and stood. "You could stop this," he said. "One call." "Everything goes through the office now." His mouth opened, then closed. There was nothing to negotiate with. Family messages slowed, then stopped. The group thread went quiet on its own. No one announced it. Silence simply took over. A text arrived from Marcus. "Systems like clarity," he wrote. "Drama doesn't file well." A moving truck reservation showed up in the inbox that afternoon. Not mine. His. The confirmation didn't ask for permission. On the last week, Robert packed in short bursts. He avoided shared spaces, avoided eye contact. When the door closed behind him, it closed fully. A neighbor watched from across the street. "He's leaving?" she asked. "Yes." She nodded as if that explained something and went back to her yard. The county office sent another update. Inspection scheduled. No greeting, no apology. An officer arrived on the appointed day, neutral and brief. "Just here to observe," he said. "Make sure the transition happens." Robert didn't argue. He folded clothes and stacked boxes. Each trip to the car took longer than the last. At the door, he paused. "You didn't have to do it like this," he said. "There wasn't another way that worked," I replied. He waited for more. None came. The officer checked a box on a clipboard. "Occupant vacated voluntarily," he said, reading it as he wrote. The phrasing landed oddly. Accurate. Bloodless. Robert heard it too. "Voluntary," he repeated. "That's what they're calling it." "That's the record," the officer said. Keys changed hands. Not ceremonially, just a transfer. The house adjusted quickly. Mail stopped arriving with the wrong name. Utility notices corrected themselves. The system updated what it needed to. A final email came in that night. Property status restored. No explanation followed. Another message arrived from the attorney. "All requirements satisfied," she wrote. "Case closing." Dinner happened without coordination. One plate, one chair. The routine didn't argue. A date sat on the calendar for the move-out completion. It passed without incident. On the morning after, the doorbell rang once. No one stood there. A package rested on the step. Paperwork, receipts, a final inventory list. The officer's report sat on top. Vacated as scheduled. A banking notification followed. Account review resolved. No celebration, just confirmation. The house didn't feel larger. It felt accurate. A call came in from an unfamiliar number. "This is the county," the voice said. "We're closing the file." "Thank you," I replied. "You're all set," they added. The line disconnected. Later, Marcus stopped by briefly. "Looks settled," he said. "It is." He glanced around, then nodded. "Ownership does that." The calendar reminder for the move-out date cleared itself. Another task completed. Another line removed. A text arrived from Robert. One sentence. "They've got me listed somewhere else now." No request followed. No accusation either. The phone went face down. Outside, traffic kept its rhythm. A neighbor waved and didn't stop. The house stood as it always had, only now with the paperwork matching the walls. The date for departure stayed on the calendar until it expired on its own. Morning returned without ceremony. Traffic moved, coffee brewed. The calendar filled itself with meetings that had nothing to do with family. At work, a security badge scanned green. The desk chair rolled back. Screens woke up one by one. An email sat at the top of the inbox. Address update confirmed. No sender name worth noting. No follow-up questions. Another message arrived seconds later. All records have been updated successfully. That was it. No summary. No sentiment. Robert had found a place on the other side of town. Not close, not far enough to make a point. Just available. The information came through a cousin, delivered without commentary, like weather. He was paying rent now, month to month. No one offered to co-sign. No one asked. The family thread stayed dormant. Names still listed. No activity. No exits announced. At the coffee machine, a coworker glanced up. "Everything settled?" she asked. "Yes." "That's good," she said, and moved on. Lunch happened at the desk. A task list got checked off. A deadline shifted forward by an hour and stayed there. A notification popped up from the bank app. New feature available. The suggestion followed right under it. Explore tools for financial independence. The timing felt intentional, even though it wasn't. A meeting ran long. Someone complained about parking. Someone else muted their mic too late. During a break, Marcus sent a short message. "House feels different yet?" "Accurate," I wrote back. He replied with a thumbs up and nothing else. The afternoon closed out without incident. No calls from unknown numbers, no messages carrying advice. Another system email arrived before logging off. "Thank you for completing your recent update." A link followed asking for feedback. It stayed unopened. At home, the mailbox held fewer envelopes. Names matched, no red stamps, no warnings. Dinner plans stayed flexible. A pan heated, vegetables got chopped. One portion served. A calendar reminder flashed while cleaning up. Weekend availability. The link opened. Options filled the screen. Hiking, outdoor skills, intro courses. One got selected without much thought. Confirmation followed. "You're all set." No congratulations, just logistics. Later, another banking alert arrived. "Account review complete." Nothing else attached. Robert didn't call. No voicemail waited. The silence didn't feel dramatic. It felt procedural. The next morning followed the same rhythm. Shoes by the door, keys where they belonged. At the office, a project manager stopped by. "We might need you on a new account," she said. "You up for it?" "Sure." That's what I thought. The day moved forward. Meetings ended on time. Notes got saved. Near the end of the afternoon, a final email landed. "Case closed." No explanation, no attachment. A notification from the county followed shortly after. "File archived." The system didn't ask how that felt. The phone stayed face down during the walk to the parking lot. No buzzing, no missed calls. At the car, another alert appeared. "Spending summary ready." The app suggested a budget review. It also suggested long-term planning. The irony didn't linger. At a stoplight, the phone stayed untouched. The radio stayed off. Home came into view without tension attached to it. The door opened. Nothing waited. Shoes went where they always did. The place held steady. A message arrived from an unknown number later that night. "Hope you're well," it read. No name, no context. The message stayed unanswered. Another day followed, then another. Routine reclaimed space. At work, a team lunch got scheduled. No one asked about family. The outdoor course confirmation came through again with a reminder. "See you this weekend." The calendar updated itself. On Friday, an automated message appeared one last time. "Your financial profile has been updated." A small banner followed. "Great job staying on track." The praise felt generic enough to ignore. Before leaving the office, the phone got checked once. No messages, no calls. The screen went dark. The building door closed behind me. The sidewalk carried its usual traffic. Nothing paused to mark the moment. Life continued without requiring commentary.